Welcome back to the Gov Geeks. We're here to improve the people side of government in a fun way. I'm Javier, and in this video, we'll interview human resources expert Chris Graham. An energetic and relationship-focused connoisseur of engagement, Chris's 15 years of leadership experience is highly sought after. With HR expertise across nonprofit, academia, and for-profit ventures, we are truly lucky to hear his insights today. But before we get started, please be sure to click the subscribe button below, like us on Facebook, and visit us at thegovgeeks.com to sign up for resources on professional development in the public sector. We're here to help you get in and get ahead in government. So, without further delay, let's get to that interview. Hi everyone, welcome to the Gov Geeks. I'm really excited to introduce to you today Chris Graham, who is an awesome guy. He is an HR leader. This person is extremely valuable when it comes to his insights and his understanding of how you do everything with human resources. So please, everyone, welcome Chris Graham to the show.
Hello everybody, happy to be here.
Well, we are so happy to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, Javier. So I currently lead the HR practice for Virginia Heart. We're the largest cardiovascular group in all of Northern Virginia. Prior to that, I have over 15 years of HR experience in various industries such as IT, business consulting, and nonprofit administration. My background is actually, I got my master's degree in human resources development from Villanova University. That's where I also got my undergraduate degree. Overall, I'm a huge fan of people and business. I'm what I like to call an HR cheerleader and a people cheerleader. So definitely happy to help as many people as I can.
That's fantastic. I love how you said both the HR cheerleader as well as the employee cheerleader, because it's both sides that really make a good working relationship.
Absolutely.
So there's a couple of things I'm hoping that we can chat about, mainly how we are getting into government, how we get ahead in government, and I know that a lot of the experiences you've had as an HR specialist and an HR leader can really help individuals gain some insight on how to go about all of this stuff. So one of the first areas is resumes. What are some of the top tips, tricks, advice, etc. that you can offer for an individual to have a really strong resume?
Sure, that's a great question, Javier. I would say with resumes, I think the first thing to think about when you realize about resume is your objective for a resume is really to get you to an interview or some form of direct communication with the hiring manager or a screener, if that's a recruiter. But really, the goal of a resume, in my opinion, is just to really provide a picture of yourself that clearly touches on the highlights of what you do, but more importantly, how what you do can add value to the business. So what I would say or suggest is that as you're crafting your resume, think about the job that you're applying for, and really you need to tailor the words and the things that you've accomplished towards the job, specifically towards the job that you're trying to apply for.
So what I heard you say is to really make sure that your resume connects with the mission of the organization and of the job.
Exactly. Everybody out there has some wonderful skills and talents, Javier. However, the people that really seem to stand out are those that are able to demonstrate how their skills and talents can specifically apply to the job that they're searching for. If you think about it, a recruiter may only look at a resume for a quick 30 seconds, or these recruiting bots that are just looking out there on the internet for resumes, they're looking for very specific words that tie into the job that they're looking for. So you don't have a long time to make an impression. So as I talk about to other people, the key is really you need to figure out ways for your resume to stand out among the hundreds of others, and by doing that, just using those keywords that really tie into exactly what the job is looking for.
So if I were to create a great resume, if this was going to be something that would go straight to the hiring managers, past everyone within the HR groups, what are some of the best ways that an individual can really demonstrate that they have a connection to the mission of the organization?
Sure. So what I would say is, first of all, I think as you're looking to, I guess, apply to a position, it's important that you understand, like you said, the company's mission and also what their business is. So as you're tying into your resume, you're trying to put in words that really kind of tie to what the mission is trying to do. So for example, I work for a cardiology practice. So our tagline is excellence in cardiovascular care. So what we want to make sure is that people who join our organization, whether they are clinical or non-clinical, they clearly have an interest in that mission of excellence in cardiovascular care. So what I would say is that if you are interested in a particular organization, you really need to make sure that your objective, for example, if you have a mission statement at the top, ties into either what the mission of the organization is or what the job is that you're applying for. So if you're really interested in accounting, you may want to really kind of harp on the fact that you're an accounting professional, you have years of experience, but really that is your passion and desire.
That's fantastic. Connecting the passion, the desire that you have directly to the mission of the organization and of the job. So are there any things that perhaps individuals should avoid, or is there any pitfalls or common mistakes that you've encountered?
Yeah, actually the easiest one that I would say is most avoidable is spelling and grammar. I can't tell you how many resumes get passed over immediately once they see a spelling or a grammatical error.
Right.
I know definitely, people are very busy and there's a lot of words that you're trying to put in there, but I would strongly suggest that whatever you're putting online in terms of whether it's your resume, your LinkedIn profile, or what have you, that you really make sure that it's not only checked for accuracy, but also that it's checked from a spelling and grammar standpoint. And that's literally something you can just do with your spell check on your computer with Word. Or I would also suggest too, because I think this definitely helps, to have somebody else look at it, because it never hurts to have a second set of eyes, because sometimes, especially as it relates to resumes or LinkedIn profiles, you've gone through the process so many times, you actually sometimes can miss things that somebody else may see.
Yeah, I guess that happens more often than we'd like to admit.
Exactly.
And not even mentioning how you go about spelling for acronyms and other things, other technical items.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Javier. Definitely. I see that. That would be a quick one. I would say. Also, just think about the audience. People have always asked me, should I use colors, or what should I do to kind of make my resume stand out? And I think a lot of it too depends upon what the type of job you're applying for. If you're applying for a very creative and artistic type role, then yeah, I think definitely your resume should reflect that. However, for the most part, if you're applying, for example, for more of an administrative or office-oriented job, the less distractions, the better. Basically, the focus should really be just on the words, and more importantly, the skills that are in there that demonstrate what you can do.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think what is really great about what you said also is ensuring that you're connecting with the audience, that you know that you are tailoring everything for the individuals that are doing the hiring.
Correct. One of the things that I always tell anybody that I'm working with through coaching or just generally through work is that the key to the entire sort of looking for an opportunity, finding an opportunity, trying to land an opportunity or a job offer is you need to figure out ways not only to add value, but more importantly, you need to be memorable. What is it about you specifically that an employer wants to hire you versus everybody else? And so the resume is the first entrance to do that. Then you kind of go on to the interview, whether it's over the phone or in person. But the more you can be memorable and kind of show specifically, let them know that you are the one that's interested, I think the greater you have the chances of landing that job.
That's awesome. So what are some of the other things in terms of helping an individual know that they have found the right organization? There's nothing as terrible as you going through all of the effort, having all of your dreams and hopes built up around this new opportunity, and then realizing it's just really not a good fit. How do you avoid some of that from the start?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Javier, because I think everybody wants to be part of something and feel like they're in a good place from a work standpoint. I guess what I would say to that, or what I would suggest, is simply that research in terms of looking at the organization you want to apply is really helpful online, or even if you're LinkedIn is a great way to talk to people, maybe that you have a connection to a company, to see what their experience is. There are various sites online. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is Glassdoor. It's a great way to do some research in terms of figuring out. Now, granted, I would say when you're looking at a website like Glassdoor, everybody there that's providing an opinion of that organization, they're doing so voluntarily. So when you have voluntarily provided feedback, that means that more than likely you're going to have some people that are really happy about it, and then obviously you're also going to get people that may be really unhappy about the organization that they work for. But I do feel like that's a good barometer initially to look at, to see kind of what people within the organization or who have worked there think about it.
So a lot of what we talked about so far is about getting into the organization, how to best identify the place that you really like, how to connect some of your passions to what the organization does. But say you get the job, you're there, and then you're asking yourself, okay, how is it that I continue to grow in my position and within this organization? So what would you suggest to someone that is in their organization and they just want to get ahead a little bit more? What are some of the things that they can do?
Sure. You know what? I believe that looking for growth within the organization is very similar to looking for a job when you're completely out of the organization or you're trying to look into a new organization. A lot of it has to do with research. It has to do with connections, networking, talking to people, but also being clear about what it is that you want to do. Many times I work with people who have said, hey, I really want to do this. I'm really interested in kind of pursuing this track. And a lot of times I've asked them, well, have you talked to your supervisor about that? And sometimes they have, and that's been really helpful, because I think then that can start a dialogue or conversation as how do we get you to that point. But if they haven't, I mean, it's definitely it's hard for someone to want to help you, or at least to understand where you want to go, if they don't know specifically what you're trying to go to. And so I really would suggest that, if you're in an organization and, for example, this happened to me recently, you're in customer service and you feel like, hey, I really want to get into billing. Well, I think the first thing I would suggest in that particular example is I would say, why don't you see if you know somebody in billing and ask them what their experience is like. Maybe you talk to the billing manager to say, hey, what is it like for the people who work there, or what skills are you looking for people who are into billing. So I guess I would just say a lot of it really comes through sort of self-driven research, connections, and networking to really talk to people where you want to go, so you can kind of create a plan about how you get there.
So how engaged should a person be with their current supervisor about career growth and opportunities?
I definitely think that it's important that you should be clear with your supervisor about kind of what you're doing, but more importantly, some of the things that you're interested in.
Right.
A classic example is sometimes I encourage people, if they say, hey, you know what, I feel like I've kind of maxed out at this job, I would definitely suggest to them that they talk to the supervisor and find out if there's other things that they could do to help them grow. Now, it may not necessarily be doing exactly what they're doing, or it might be in a kind of like on a side project, but I think that shows not only initiative, but also shows you an opportunity to pick up a skill. For example, in my particular job, there was an opportunity to learn this learning management system, and I knew that this was something that would be interesting to me, but also be beneficial to the business. So rather than wait for somebody to ask me, I directly went to the director in my practice and kind of talked about how I might be able to assist, and offered my help. And thankfully, or luckily, I guess I was one of the people that was selected to help to be an administrator. So I do feel like a lot of it is sort of the initiative the individual takes, but I think if you can talk to your manager and say to him or her, look, I'm really interested in this, how else can I help? I think that's the most important thing. Managers sometimes don't necessarily, it's a lot harder if you say, hey, this job isn't fulfilling me, I need you to provide me more. A lot of times with career development, it's more of a two-way street, and actually I would say it's more driven by the individual and what they want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Chris, it's really clear to see how really your expertise is of just tremendous value for everyone. It feels like you have identified paths that aren't just about solving the benefits of the individual or addressing the needs and concerns of the organization, but more of a collaborative approach. So if you were going to offer some overall career advice, if someone were to walk into your office, have known you for a long time, and you can be really honest with them, what are some suggestions that you would have for them for how they could A, get into the job that they love, and then B, how to really perform well once they get there?
Sure. You know what? I would say that the first thing I would think about is if there's something specific they really want to do, that that they start working out a plan, but more importantly, they start doing things to achieve that plan, even if it's incremental and very small. The people that I've seen that have had success in terms of changing careers or have grown through an organization or really gone through the process of going into a high level, senior level at an organization, those are the ones that typically have not only a plan, but really have worked to implement a plan on a consistent, I don't want to say daily, but on a consistent and regular basis. So what I would say is somebody says, hey, look, I really want to get into this field. Well, start thinking about what are the steps you need to do to, first of all, understand what it's like to be in that field, but more importantly, how do you get the education skills and to be able to be looked at as qualified for that particular field. It's very important that you really talk to others, but just as important that you start kind of picking up the skills that are necessary. Sometimes people want to transition into a different field within their own organization. They may not have the skills, and I would say that they definitely should talk to others to see how they might be able to get those skills. One of the best places I would say for learning how to do things, now granted it's not for everything, but I would say it's free, is actually YouTube. I can't tell you how many trainings there are on YouTube that are for free, that are done by people that really has helped others in terms of trying to get some semblance of skills in the area that they want to go. So I guess that's generally what I would say, Javier, is just devise a plan, work towards implementing it, but then continually work at it, because it is a process. Just like finding a job is a process, it doesn't just sort of happen, or most of the times it doesn't.
Right.
It is something that you have to work towards.
Very, very good insights. So you are at a very solid organization right now, Virginia Heart. Can you tell us a little bit about that organization?
Sure. So I work for Virginia Heart. We are the leading cardiovascular group or practice in all of Northern Virginia. We have multiple offices throughout Northern Virginia, over 300 staff. And I would say that we're always looking for talented clinical and administrative staff or non-clinical staff. For anybody who is interested in learning more about our practice, I would encourage them to go to www.virginiaheart.com. Check out our website, see what we do. There's also a careers page. We're always, especially for nurses, we're always looking for qualified cardiology nurses or nurses with background in cardiology. But I would also say too, one of the wonderful things that I love about the Gov Geeks and just working with you is that I think you provide a tremendous service, but I'm also happy to be associated with your group and also happy to help anybody that you know of. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm Chris Graham. I'm always happy to help anybody that has a question as well.
And I'm going to put all of the links right down below, so if people have more information and want to reach out to you as well, all of that information is all, of course, available. Chris, I really want to say thank you for the time that you've given to the Gov Geeks community for all of this. Your expertise really is solid, and it's very clear to see why you are a leader in your profession, in your organization, and certainly just a role model for people who are interested in really getting ahead and getting into the organizations of their choice. So thank you very much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Javier. Thank you to everyone watching, and take care. Good luck to you.
We hope you found this video helpful. Please give it a thumbs up, share it, and of course, sign up for more strategies on professional development in the public sector. Also, at our website, thegovgeeks.com, You can sign up for courses and get information on coaching too. Check us out and join the Gov Geeks community. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Together, we can help government meet its mission and serve the people. We're in it to make a difference. Thank you so much for watching. Service for public servants.